Big news. Davante Adams finally to the Jets. We'll talk about it right now on Fantasy Football Today. Okay, we're presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas, and Jamie and I are here to break it down. So it's a conditional pick, third rounder that could turn into a second round pick. Jets are picking up the remaining salary obligations for Davante Adams. Okay, who's the best Jets receiver going forward?
Wow. I think you got to go with Adams just based on his track record with Rodgers. I don't think they're bringing him in to not feature him and use him as much as they, possibly can. I'm hoping it's a 1A, a 1-1A for Adams and Wilson can still be a top 24 receiver. Dave mentioned this. I think you had to, see it that they seem to be finally on the same page the last 2 weeks in terms of Rodgers and Wilson. But this offense could be explosive. I mean, you have a great running back in Breece Hall. You have two talented receivers in Adams and Wilson, and hopefully Rodgers is gonna be able to connect with these guys. It's not like Allen Lazard has not been producing good numbers. However you looked at it, a couple touchdowns in week 1 in garbage time, Hail Mary in week 6, to help his numbers. But you don't want Wilson to fall to that level, but wouldn't be awful if that's the case.
Rank Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Garrett Wilson.
Deebo, Adams, Wilson, Ayuk.
How about Davante Adams or Terry McLaurin and Garrett Wilson?
Adams, McLaurin, Wilson.
Does this change Breece Hall's outlook at all?
Helps.
And is Aaron Rodgers, if he and Drake May are sitting there on the waiver wire, and Sam Darnold, let's say, who would you prioritize?
Darnold for this week. Rodgers long term.
Pretty interesting trade, Jamie Eisenberg.
It's a very interesting trade. Look, we may be sitting here and saying Jets. The biggest winner may be Jakobi Meyers, who had a very solid game against the Broncos with Patrick Surtain, and hopefully healthy. He may end up being better than both those guys. I don't think that's the case, so don't quote me on that. But look, he's going to get a lot of targets. He's going to get a lot of playing time, and hopefully takes advantage of it. So he's a huge winner too.
But you still I know you like Adams better. You still like Garrett Wilson better than Jakobi Meyers.
I do. Yeah. I mean, look, it's hard not to, say that Aaron Rodgers, as great as he's been, cannot support two receivers at a high level, even though he's 40 years old and has looked a little lost at times. But, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily, I'm clearly downgrading Wilson. I wouldn't hit the panic button on him yet.
Rest of season, Garrett Wilson or Brian Thomas Jr.?
Thomas, but I may have said that even if Adams wasn't traded.
Okay. So Davante Adams or Brian Thomas Jr.?
I'll be optimistic and say the rookie, Thomas.
I'm getting pumped here. Here's a question from the chat. Garrett Wilson or T. Higgins?
Higgins. But again, that's something I may have said prior to the trade too.
Okay. Yeah, this is really exciting. And I honestly don't want to just talk for the sake of talking. So I feel like we're reviewing them both as probably must-starts right now. Adams better than Wilson. Hopefully, Jamie said Wilson's still a top 20 or so receiver.
So here's what we're looking at. Pittsburgh, not going to be an easy matchup. Who knows? Does Adams play this week? I would assume so, assuming the hamstring injury is not really a hamstring injury, which is not a really hamstring injury. So
it may have been at him. He was supposed to. There was rumor. You said that he could come back this week for the Raiders, right?
Miraculously. I mean, that was just they were drumming up trade interest. It was more talk than anything else.
Okay.
Assuming Adams plays, Rodgers is a borderline top 12 guy, right? Steelers, not exactly the same defense they were early in the season because of injuries to their pass rush, but not exactly a cakewalk in Pittsburgh nonetheless. So borderline top 12 guy. I would start him over May, for example, even though May has a great matchup. Then they get New England. All systems go. We've already seen him against the Patriots once this season. That was without Adams. He had his best game of the year, 25 fantasy points. This is Rodgers. Houston, after that, their pass defense has been a little troubling. Yeah. Arizona after that, Indianapolis after that. Schedule gets great before they're bye in week 12. So you're looking at it from a passing perspective. Patriots, Texans, Cardinals, Colts. Who's sitting any of those guys in those games?
Well, the Patriots are interesting because Garrett Wilson did get more or less shut down. He's caught a touchdown, but he got more or less shut down by Christian Gonzalez in that Thursday night game.
Okay, so that's one of those guys is going to be wide open.
Yeah, that's not happening anymore. And like Davante Adams, if he still is Davante Adams, all due respect to Garrett Wilson, he's tougher to shadow than almost anybody in football. Like you can't really cover that guy one-on-one. He's incredible. So yeah, I'm
under 6 back shoulder fades per game.
yeah, he loves that stuff. But as a, look, I have Garrett Wilson in the league. I'm not necessarily trying to sell him. I think you could, but fantasy managers are going to expect less from him.
Okay, so rest of season, who would you rather have right now, Garrett Wilson or Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill.
Well, of course. So you make that trade in a heartbeat.
Take the chance there.
Yeah.
But I have Adams in the league, and I'm excited. I can't wait to throw him in a lineup now. I'm really pumped. So good stuff. And then Trey Tucker is just another name we should mention here, just as a deeper league guy. And then obviously Brock Bowers. How many tight ends would you take ahead of Brock Bowers at this point?
Kelsey, maybe, just with the injury. That's about it.
McBride?
Depends on how long Harrison's out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. Good stuff. Thank you, Jamie. And for all of you watching, appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time on Fantasy Football Today.